You're welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Several attempts have been made in the past to launch a coordinated branding of Nigeria as a matter of state policy. The one that stands out being rebranding Nigeria, which was pursued with a lot of vigor by a former Minister of Information, the late Professor Dora Akunyili. Before that had come a number of initiatives in the same direction, including MAMSA, War Against Indiscipline, the Heart of Africa, Ethical Revolution, and a whole lot more. What underlies this idea is the argument by experts that perception of a country affects its fortunes and what manner of relationship it will ultimately have with the international community. We are now going to have a conversation around the need and call for a rebranding of Nigeria, especially at this time of great socio-political and economic upheaval. And our guest is Muyiwa Kayode, a brand consultant, author, and animation series producer, and co-founder, as well as Chief Executive Officer of USP Brand Management. He's going to talk about his book, Brand Nation, as well as the Animation Film Festival he organizes annually. Good morning, Mr. Muyiwa Kayode.
Good morning.
Good to have you join us.
I'm glad to be here.
Wow. Okay, so you have a new book. Maybe we should start on that note. Yes. Brand Nation, isn't it? Yes. The 3 Ps formula for successful nation building. I know that this is a time that everybody is worried about the image of the country. Is this book about what needs to be done, or is just a general thought in terms of branding and how it affects a nation? Tell us about the book.
Well, thank you very much. Brand Nation is about applying the 3 Ps to nation building, because we need to see the nation as a brand, and we need to manage the nation as a brand. Now, what we have done is to dimension this into 3. So those 3 Ps are people, places, and products. Okay? Now, it is deliberate that the first one is people. Okay. Because you can't build a great nation without great people. Everything has to center around the people. And if you are building a great brand also, you realize that you are building that brand around people. Okay? Because without people, there's no brand. All right? Now, the nation itself is a brand, and we must manage it as a brand. Now, let's take it from the beginning. Every brand begins with a vision, okay? So what is our vision as a nation? And when we have that vision well articulated and understood by people, and when I'm talking about big vision from the branding perspective now, we are talking about vision in terms of value delivery. We've had series of visions, okay? Vision 2010, Vision 2020, Vision this, Vision that. And then when they talk about these things, they are talking about making Nigeria maybe a top 20 economy or a top 10 economy. How does that connect with the common person? How does it connect with me as a Nigerian? Okay? So you have to have that buy-in. That vision, which is the starting point for any great brand to be built, okay, has to offer value to every stakeholder in that brand. And stakeholders now, Nigerians, okay? Now, if you want to articulate a vision for this country, for example, you can look at the man on the minimum wage and ask yourself, what does this vision has to promise this person? We should articulate vision in a way that gives somebody, maybe a civil servant who is on grade level 10 or grade level 11. You should be able to know where you will be 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 10 years from now. As a Nigerian child, from the day you are born, you should be able to project, okay, every child born in this country, by the time the child is 5, this is where this child should be. By the time the child is 10, this is where this child should be. So if I have a 5-year-old child, I know that, okay, as a Nigerian, this is, in 5 years' time, this is where my child is going to be. When we begin to articulate vision that way, and that is what we call brand vision. It's not a vision that says you want to be the top, this economy, top that. No. By the time we build the vision around the people, we get the buy-in of the people. And the people begin to take pride in their country. Okay? So we are not going to be changing perception by trying to put stories out there and getting PR consultants. No. It's the people that will change the perception. Okay? And the people will change the perception because they believe and they buy into the vision. Okay? So that is the first P. And we talk about, so we make it so simple and practical. Yeah. You know, the book is very simple and reader-friendly. And one of the things I've also done is, and in our practice, every time we talk about brand management, we break it down to simple, practical solutions, things that can be done. Yeah. Okay? It's one thing to have ideas, it's another thing to have workable ideas that can actually be implemented. So the first P is about the people. The second P is about places. What do we do about branding our places? What do we do about destination branding? Okay, what do we do about our cities? How do we attract and position, how do we position our places that we can take pride in? That is places. We need to brand our places. And again, branding our places is not about talking. It's about doing. Because branding is not what you say, it is what you do. Okay? So when you do these things, then you now say it. Then people can see that what you're doing is what you're saying that you're doing. You don't even need to say it. People will say it for you. People who love what you're doing will say, oh, this is what you're doing. Okay? So that is places. Then the third one is products. How do we position our products in such a way that when you take a Nigerian product out of the country, it says something about the country? How do we leverage those things that are unique to us, as a nation? How do we make them into global brands? Yeah. How do we make Suya a global brand? Our music is...
How did you know I was thinking about Suya?
Our music is...
Alligator Suya. But jollof rice is getting there, is it?
Yeah, but jollof rice, Ghana is in the mix, Senegal is in the mix, you know, it's a tussle.
We have some things that are unique to us.
To us, yeah.
Those are the things we need to focus on and make them global brands. We can make our pepper soup. We can make it a global brand. And those are things that we know that when Nigerians travel out, one of the things they miss the most about this country is the food. Because there's just so much and it is just so good. We have the best food in the world. I always like to say this, the best food and the best music. We have the best in the world when we're talking about music and food. So what are we doing? We already have the ingredients, we already have the raw materials to build a great nation brand. We're not going to do it by just saying we're a great nation, okay? We're going to do it by putting a deliberate policy in place. So what Brand Nation, the book, is saying is that, look, we need to make the principles of branding, we need to put these principles at the heart of our nation-building policies. Yeah. And when we do that, it will be so exciting to see how things will just fall into place. A whole lot of things are scattered about the country right now, not because the raw materials are not there, but because we just need to align these things, apply the principles of branding, and it will just be so exciting.
No, I love the fact that you touched on putting in deliberate policies in place. Now, what image would you think would sell best? For example, you know, we've heard a lot of people just saying that, you know, I'm Nigerian, but I'm not a Nigerian, and all of that. You've touched on people, places, and product. Now, I tend to go with the idea of giving that people, the idea of people, recreating people to understand what being a Nigerian is. You know, Americans are very ethnocentric. An American can tell you, you know, New York is the greatest city in the world, yes. And they'll go on to compare New York to other cities in the world. How can we build a nation to have a Nigerian know that they are Nigerian or love Nigeria as it should be?
Okay, now that's comes around to, there's a meeting point for these 3 Ps, okay? So what you are talking about now, we have Nigeria, which is the most populous black nation in the world, okay? We have Nigeria, which is the biggest country in Africa and the most populous, okay? We have been called giant of Africa, right? So what do we do? If we want to apply, these are like the raw materials, the pillars that we already have. So if we want to apply these things to nation building, I would want to see a situation where, okay, we are the biggest nation in Africa. What is it in Nigeria today that is the biggest in Africa?
Yeah.
Do we have the biggest stadium? Do we have the biggest hospital? Do we have the biggest university? Do we have the biggest skyscraper? We don't. And we should.
Right.
So I want to go out there and say, I'm coming from the biggest country in Africa, and we have the biggest this, we have the biggest that.
Right.
Then I'm proud.
Right.
So these are the things we need to do. We need to define what kind of nation we want to be. We need to define what kind of brand. We need to do the brand definition of Nigeria. And we have the raw materials to do it. It's so exciting. We have everything. We just need to put these things together and let it distill into our actions.
But isn't that what Obasanjo and Akinwumi tried to do with the Heart of Africa project, Great Nation, Good People? But then almost 20 years down the line, it looks like we're still struggling to rebrand Nigeria.
Well, you know, brand nation is not about rebranding Nigeria.
No, I'm not talking about the book. I'm talking generally. That there hasn't been any sustenance of what they tried to do. I remember that President Obasanjo even appeared in a CNN advert for the Heart of Africa thing. Part of the trouble with that concept, though, was that it looked like the Obasanjo administration was jettisoning the idea that we were the giant of Africa for a new buzzword, Heart of Africa. We didn't quite sink, in people.
Well, the thing again with branding is you have to have credibility with whatever you are communicating.
Yeah.
Okay? And that is why it starts with creating value. We have to create that value before we go out there and tell the world. The Obasanjo government you are talking about, I would have been excited if when the Abuja Stadium was being built, I would have been excited if they say, okay, this has to be the biggest and the best stadium in Africa. Okay.
Like the Maracana of Africa.
Exactly. And then we know that, yes, we are serious. Okay? If we are going to do anything, it has to have a trademark. It has to make a statement about this country. That is how we go about it. If we go on CNN or we go on anywhere and we start talking about good people, great nation, it is good. But that is not the starting point. The starting point is to define our nation. What kind of country do we want to be? How do we want the rest of the world to perceive us as a country, as a nation? And then when we are clear about that, we now take practical steps to make it credible. So we are not just making empty claims, okay? And the branding or rebranding or whatever it is we are doing around the branding is not a cosmetic exercise just to tell people this, tell people that. No, it is actually doing. Branding is doing. It's more of doing than saying, okay? And that is how we need to approach it.
Alrighty. You obviously are speaking about branding and how important it is to be able to market yourself or market a country in a way that allows a country to reap the benefits of that. And as you've said, it's difficult to brand yourself or market yourself that way if there is no value. So if we're talking about Nigeria, I know you've spoken at length about the 3 Ps and those different principles that need to be implemented in today's in the future of Nigeria's politics. But one thing that we like to do here, let me not speak for my colleagues, is to obviously accept what the topic of conversation is, but also shift it a little bit, because this is a time for change in Nigeria. We are approaching an official election cycle, and obviously this is a time where politicians and political parties and individuals are marketing themselves. So how do you think value can actually be shown through marketing techniques? Because sometimes when people speak to brand strategists or to marketers, there's sometimes a feeling of this person's not as honest as they want me to believe they are. It's the makeup that they want me to believe. There's no substance to what they're trying to sell me. So how can people, politicians, Nigerians, understand what true value is?
Well, again, I'm going to apply the principles of branding to this. You do not make promises that you cannot fulfill, because great brands are built on trust. You succeed when people trust you, when you are credible. So in our practice, we always ensure that our clients go out there to the market with value proposition and promises that they have the capacity and the ability to deliver. It's important. You don't need to promise the world, okay? And the good thing about Nigeria as a brand is that we have the resources to deliver. So we don't even need to overpromise. I understand that you are going to market to sell something within the context of politics and elections. You are going to market to sell something, to sell a promise. Because, okay, when I get there, this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to do it. Okay? Now, if you very carefully articulate your brand value proposition, and again, we tell people, look, your value proposition must pass 3 tests.
Okay.
1, it must be unique. If you are telling me what this person is telling me, what that person is telling me, you are probably, it's not attractive to me. Okay? So it has to be unique. It has to be desirable. It has to connect to me. It has to align with my aspirations. And it's not difficult for us to ask ourselves, what are the aspirations of Nigerians? It's not difficult. Okay? Then the third one is, it has to be deliverable. You have to have the capacity and the resources to deliver it. And if there's anything we are not lacking in this country, it's capacity and resources. We have it in abundance. So it is not impossible, okay, to have deliverable, actionable value proposition that you take to the people. And when you get there, you deliver it. But politicians have this, they have this image of making promises and not being able to fulfill those promises, unfortunately. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Do you think brand Nigeria is more feminine than masculine, given what is happening all around?
We always call our country our motherland. Some people will say fatherland, but I'd rather go with the motherland. Because you see, we all know how we are with our mothers. You know how a mother, they say there is no love like a mother's love, okay? And branding is about love and passion, okay? So as a Nigerian, I want to feel that my country loves me as much as I love my country. I want to feel that my country is there, will look out for me. Yeah. These are the things you get from a mother, okay? So I would be more inclined in terms of that brand character to go with motherland.
And that's in sync with what happened at the Commonwealth Games.
Yes.
It's about
It was absolutely.
it's about what the ladies could do.
All right, I wanted to touch on some of the work that you have done so far, especially your animation series. This is Adventures of Turtle Tidal. Great work that you have done. It appears that you obviously want to raise Africa's profile in the animation sector, or what do you call it?
Yes. That works.
Thank you. That is something I'm immensely proud of, okay? And again, it has to do with our brand identity as a nation.
Yes.
My kids grew up watching all these foreign cartoons, and I wasn't completely happy with that. I said, okay, why don't we have Nigerian cartoon for Nigerian children? Voiced by Nigerian children, talking about Nigerian things, talking about Nigerian food. So now, with the adventures of Turtle Tidal, the kids can watch a cartoon that talks about the things they know, they live with every day. So the star character goes somewhere and is eating amala or is eating egusi soup and all of that. These are things that are new to them and they love it. And another thing about the Turtle Tidal series is that the essential message of the Turtle Tidal series is diversity and inclusion. Because Turtle Tidal is a character who goes on an adventure to different parts of the country, and everywhere he goes, and of course we've done all the 36 states of the country, and everywhere he goes, he plays with the people, he makes friends, he learns about the culture, what they eat, how they act. The message is that when we understand why people are different from us,
Correct.
we respect them.
That is why there's that inclusion, you know, the
Yes.
black Barbies.
Yeah.
And
It's
Very
a message that the world is so desperately in need of right now, not just Nigeria. Yes,
Right.
we do too, okay? And because it is focused on children, their pure, innocent minds have not yet been polluted by prejudice and bias and all of that. You know, so we are focusing that series on influencing the younger generation, you know, to have a more open mind, okay? And to understand also the cultural diversity, not only within Nigeria, but across Africa, because we are taking the series across Africa. We've done 36 states of Nigeria. The next phase is now we are going to different African countries, because ultimately it's going to be a Pan-African franchise. Okay, so that is what Adventures of Turtle Tidal is all about. And on the African animation thing, we created an animation festival called Lagos International Festival of Animation, Lifanima. And we've done that every year now for 6 years.
For 6 years.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, we don't have much time. I can see you're very proud of your product. I can see that you're wearing a T-shirt. Yeah, I see that. Well done.
Thank
Thank you, Mr.
Joining us.
Muyiwa. The book is out, right?
Yes.
Where can people get it?
It's on sale. It's for the ebook, it's on okadabooks.com. It's just 3,000 naira. And then the hard copy is on sale in 3 formats on amazon.com.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
It's time now for a short break, and when we return, we shall again visit the issue of insecurity with security and defense analyst Dr. Kabir Adamu, who last night spoke with Arise Newsnight on this urgent matter of national importance. Stay with us.